Nebraska winning game 2 in the white jerseys.
I want to know where they found those extra 200 seats.
They may be standing on the concourse. And Stanford starts out with the first point of the third game. Barboza has been quiet thus far. She averages 4 kills a game. She's only got 4 in the match. And Pavin with 10. Jordan Larson, who's been a real difference maker for Nebraska. And that attack wide, point Nebraska.
And Beth, I think the problem with Cynthia Barboza, she's just playing too cautious. She's got to play with reckless abandon. We've seen her be athletic and powerful, but in this match, she's just being very tentative, doesn't want to make the error.
Keel looking for Waller for the kill. We talk about Cynthia Barboza as the next in line, the Odin sisters. You talk about Focal, Ifejika sharply winning those 3 national championships in the 90s. Logan Tom, Carrie Walsh, and most recently Ogana Namana. Barboza, to solidify her status amongst that group, will need a championship performance.
The one constant thread throughout all of that Stanford success hasn't been John Dunning or Dawn Shaw. It's been Denise Corlett right there in the glasses, associate head coach. Has been here for 9 title matches in the last 15 years, has been the one constant. Every picture you see of the national title team, Denise Corlett's been there, an incredible athlete as well. An All-American in 3 different sports at UCLA, badminton, volleyball, and basketball. Won a national championship in both badminton and basketball.
And not in her first love, which was volleyball. A couple of second places, a couple of third places. Her picture is the only one in every championship photo. And it was Cynthia Barboza who sent Denise Corlett a picture when she was still in grade school.
When Cynthia was in 7th grade, she sent a drawing of herself on a hill with a volleyball in her hand that said, "Denise, I want to come to Stanford." Talk about making your dreams come true. Cynthia Barboza, the youngest alternate ever named to a U.S. Olympic team when she was named as the alternate for the 2004 Athens U.S. squad.
Head coach John Dunning marvels at her ability to bounce back from the ACL injury a year ago and playing completely unaffected all season. Akanarado with the kill.
In fact, Cynthia Barboza adjusted her class schedule in order to be in the training room when she needed to be at 7 a.m. every morning to get that knee as healthy as possible. Throughout the season, interestingly, she doesn't wear a brace while she plays, but off the court, she's been wearing a titanium knee brace to try and help with the pain and the swelling.
Danny Mancuso gets the kill. That's 8 now for Danny, who will depart the match.
Barboza from day one, first day in fall camp, didn't wear that knee brace, and I agree with that. After my knee surgeries, I didn't like wearing a brace because you think about it all the time, and you never want to play tentative, being afraid that you're going to get hurt again, because that's when you do.
John Dunning, right from the start this year, they have not practiced as much as they have in the past because he wanted everybody to be healthy for this weekend.
And knock on wood, he said, we are. This is one of the first times he's come into a championship as healthy as they are. Certainly Barboza and Richards and Gerard playing on sore joints, but not affecting their performance.
They opted not to practice yesterday.
That's a bad call, too. Wow. Sorry, Beth.
That one appeared to be
the player
on
in
the
me is
line.
getting a little feisty.
Our location is right along that back line. You had a great view of it, Heather.
I'm going to take that flag away.
Schwartz serving for Nebraska. She has been tough tonight. That's her 3rd ace.
And I think John Dunning and his coaching staff need to make an adjustment. Right now, Jessica Fishburne is truly the target. You see the player in white right here. She's standing in the middle of the court because her job is to take the majority of those serves, but there's just too much movement and she needs some help.
Stanford responds. Akanarado now with 8 kills to join Richards and Waller as the team leaders. Overpass. Barboza got an easy one there. Point Stanford.
Both teams turning up the notch a bit with their service. forcing both teams into bad passing. You know, every coach will tell you serving pass is the key, but you know, it really is.
Yep.
If you can't get a pass to your setter, it's really tough to score points.
Holloway to Larson. Kehoe had to play it over on 2. Back to Jordan Larson. Back row, Richards swooping in for the kill.
Kill by NCAA, point Cardinal.
Nebraska's lead cut to 1. The home crowd here in Omaha trying to stir things up for the Huskers. Larson looking for a touch. Stanford said no, but the referee Mary Blaylock said yes.
And Jordan Larson can do no wrong. Now 11 kills, no errors. She has truly been the X factor for Nebraska.
She's already got the double-double with 11 digs as well. And push that one back across for another kill.
We talk about the t-shirts that they wear in practice every day. Jordan Larson says passion, and she is playing with that fire and passion tonight.
And the Huskers were 25-1 over the course of her 2-year career when she has a double-double, which she's got tonight. As Barboza responds with the kill. Larson, boy, she's got to feel so much better than she did a year ago when she had 1 kill in 20 attacks in the championship loss last December against Washington.
And that was her freshman year, and Coach Cook says she was just run down at that point in the season. Very tough for a freshman to go through a collegiate season.
Pavin with the set to Larson, right at Richards. Kristen got up to take the swing. Larson with the roll. Busboom digs it up. Pavin, back row.
Nebraska scoring points in transition. It starts with Fishberg keeping the ball alive, but Pavin just too much power. That was an example of back row attack after back row attack with Kristen Richards and Sarah Pavin because they're not able to get the ball control to run the hits in the front.
On Nebraska.
Net violation on Nebraska gives Stanford the point. Barboza to serve.
In the Cardinal lineup, Lizzie Suter.
She had 3 aces in the semi. She does not have one yet tonight.
She's playing to get the serve in instead of going for the ace.
Long on that attempt. Point Nebraska.
Into the Husker lineup is Danny Mancuso. Back to serve, Jordan Larson.
Kehoe directing traffic, and now Jordan Larson to serve. The ace. Nobody home in the back corner for Stanford. A record crowd at the Quest Center in Omaha, tied at 1 game apiece. Stanford leading in Game 3 for the national championship. Nebraska has been #1 from day 1 and trying to complete the season as the top-ranked team. Stanford with 5 errors in this 3rd game. Nebraska with none.
And that's truly been the key. Nebraska serving tough, making Stanford very predictable at the net. They're not running the middle.
Aaron Waller with the kill. The other thing Nebraska has been able to do has been to keep Cynthia Barboza quiet. 6 kills and 6 errors so far in the match.
Yeah, Barboza needs to start playing with more confidence. Like the All-American that we've seen all season long, she can take over a match.
Kehoe to Waller, able to get it through the block. And
Sorry, Beth. Just Waller was such a huge component of Stanford's offense in Game 1, and now she's starting to come alive in Game 3. And just one more player that Nebraska has to keep their eye on.
30 kills in their last 3 matches for Aaron Waller. Pavin. Stanford with the defense. Waller off the block.
And now Bryn Kehoe, the veteran setter for Stanford, is starting to redirect the ball. I think that's something that both setters could focus more on, is changing the direction of the ball so that the defense has to change directions too.
Out of the timeout, 3 points in a row for the Cardinal. Fishburne the long floater. Mancuso through the block and down.
Kill by Danny Mancuso. Point Nebraska. Into the Husker lineup, Tracy Stahl.
Danny Mancuso trying to give her parents a wedding anniversary present. They are celebrating today. Mike and Billy are both in attendance. Ooh, Akinrado big at the net.
And she's been quiet only because she hasn't been getting set. Bryn Kehoe, I think, needs to focus a little bit more on running the middle, and wouldn't surprise me if that's what Coach Denning talked to his team about during that last time out to spark the, I think now 4-0 run.
Holloway looking to Mancuso. Another kill for Danny.
Mancuso, Point Nebraska.
Mancuso just filling huge shoes, moved into the starting position when Christina Hoteling, last year's National Player of the Year, got hurt in the summer. And she has done a superb job all season long.
Pavin on the serve. Richards gets the kill. Of course, baseball fans very familiar with Omaha. It's where the College World Series is every year. Danny Mancuso, the first job that she ever had was selling popcorn out at Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha at the College World Series. And here she is playing for the national championship herself. Off the Stahl solo block and the kill for Stanford. From right here in Omaha, a chance to play at home for the championship. Kehoe looking at Richards out of the back. And the point for Nebraska, ending a 7-2 Stanford run.
Got to keep our eye on Cynthia Barboza. She on that last play trying to get the cover. Looked a little slow getting up, almost like she slipped on the sport court.
Rachel Schwartz now with those 3 aces already tonight. Kehoe looks to Barboza.
She's okay.
He will elevate on that one.
Well, John Dunning has talked about her toughness since day one, injuring her ACL last year with 11 matches to go in the season, making one of the quickest returns to the court we've seen in some time.
Was an alternate on the Olympic team when she was still in high school with Cynthia Barboza. And now Stahls will serve on the other side for Nebraska. Up by 1 here in game 3, looking to take control of the match. Solo block for Larson. Finesse from Kristen Richards with the changeup.
Into the Stanford lineup.
11 kills now for Kristen.
And they are relying a ton on Kristen Richards. She's taken more swings than anybody, almost by double. Because they've been out of system so much, they're using her a lot out of the back row.
Barboza, set was a bit behind her. Pavin out of the back off the tape. Barboza looking to set Wall. Larson.
Kill by Jordan Larson, Point Nebraska. Back to serve for the Huskers.
A capacity crowd at Quest Center in Omaha, the largest crowd ever to watch a women's college volleyball game in the United States. Stanford looking for a 7th NCAA title. Nebraska looking for their 3rd. They have been the dominant programs of the last decade in women's college volleyball, meeting for the first time ever in the final. Stanford took game 1, Nebraska game 2, even here in the 3rd. Jordan Larson with 14 kills, leading the way for Nebraska. That one missed wide, point for Stanford. You talk about Jordan Larson and Sarah Pavin, the National Player of the Year. They are the best combo ever at Nebraska, combining for 9 kills per game.
Which is hard to believe when you think of all the great hitters that have come through this Husker program, but the 2 of them have carried the majority of the offensive load for Nebraska this season. Pavin being awarded the National Player of the Year honor last night, saying, "My season wouldn't be complete, though, without a win tonight."
Kehoe to Richards. Holloway looking for Larson out of the back. Kehoe back to Richards. Chicken wing back up by Larson. And the kill for Aaron Waller. Nebraska back here in the championship match for the second year in a row after a disappointing loss to Washington in last year's final when they were the prohibitive favorites to win it all.
And John Cook has said that loss has really influenced every decision he's made as a coach this year. And it's put a lot of pressure on this Husker team as well, so much so that for about the first 2 months of the season, they flat out admitted they weren't having fun, to the point where John Cook, after a 3-game win, asked him if they enjoyed it, and they said no. So he did something I've never heard a coach do. He said, guys, I take all responsibility for the rest of the season and whether or not we win a title. You guys just go out and play and have fun. Since then, John has said it's all been on his shoulders, and the players have just gotten to go out and perform.
The NCAA Women's Volleyball National Championship match. Stanford a winner in Game 1, Nebraska taking Game 2, and the Cardinal with the lead here in Game 3. It has been as good as advertised. Tremendous athleticism on both sides of the net. A couple of All-Americans, Cynthia Barboza and Sarah Pavin. 12 kills for Pavin. Barboza with 7 on the night.
Serving for the Cardinal, Jessica Fishburne.
Again, I think Cynthia Barboza playing a little bit tentative. Sarah Pavin came out on fire from the first point of this match.
Danny Busboom with the pass to Holloway. This is Pavin. Played back across by the Cardinal. Pavin calling for it again. Missed it wide.
It is wide. Point Stanford.
One of the things that Pavin has talked about, I did not demand the ball enough last year in their losing effort against Washington in the championship. You could hear all the way over here courtside saying, bring it back to me.
Yeah, she has not had a poor postseason game in her career at Nebraska. The problem last year was they just didn't use her enough.
Akinrado tried to tip. Busboom able to track it down. Larson denied out of the back. The bump to Kristen Richards. Got it.
Kill by Kristen Richards. Point
We talked about Sarah Pavin last year in the 3-game loss to Washington. She put up some good numbers. She just didn't get to be as effective as she'd like. She had 16 kills, hit 429, but she could have had 30 kills if they'd continued to go to her.
It's a 10-4 run right now by Stanford. Amanda Gates has come on now in the middle for Nebraska. Mancuso long. An 11-4 run for the Cardinal.
And Gates was a specialty substitution, a great blocker. John Cook hoping that she'd score a quick point on defense. Now Tracy Stahl's back into the game.
Busboom getting instructions from the bench. Serves it at Barboza. Akinrado dug up by Holloway. Jordan Larson out of the back. Fishburne was there, but it goes wide of the antenna. Point Nebraska.
Jordan Larson. Point Nebraska.
Ball control continues to plague Stanford. When it's not scoring points, it's not controlling the ball.
Off the block and wide, Aaron Waller continues to have her best night of the season.
14 kills now, a new career high. Her previous career high, 13 against the Bruins earlier this year.
The sophomore, former Missouri High School Player of the Year. She's been dynamite in the postseason. Keogh and Akinrado with the rejection. And John Cook will have to use his second timeout.
Timeout, Nebraska. That's their second timeout.
Truly amazing, the legacy. And I asked John Dunning what keeps him continuing to seek success and get better and better every year. 2 national titles at Pacific, those 2 titles at Stanford. And you know what he said? He said, every year I add something to this program. I don't get complacent. It's advice that Terry Liskevich, the former Pacific coach, gave him. And each year he adds something new to this program. This year it was an overseas trip to Italy where they were able to bond over the summer, and it's helped him get here.
Pavin gets the kill. He made the right moves during the one timeout that he called early. Coach Dunning with his team struggling early in Game 3. Since then, 16-9, they have outscored Nebraska, forcing John Cook to use both of his timeouts here.
I think John Dunning, one of the best coaches there is at making changes during a timeout that can impact the match.
That one put a smile on his face. 26-22 here in game 3. Richards continues to impress now. 12 kills, Akinradaway with 11. 15 for Waller. And Holloway, the center, gets the kill.
And not the first time Rachel Holloway, the freshman's been successful with an attack. As the setter, typically on that second ball, you're setting your hitters, but it's a good deceptive move if you do it aggressively to attack that second ball.
Her first kill of the match, Rachel Schwartz. Keogh looking for Barboza, and she is stuffed.
And that's Barboza's bread and butter. She loves the 32. It's inside the middle of the court instead of way out here where an outside hitter normally hits, but Nebraska does a perfect job adjusting to it.
Larson and Stalls were there waiting for her. That time they could not get the block up, and the Huskers were into the net. Point Stanford to make it a 3-point lead late in game 3. Crossboom to Holloway, looking for Pavin out of the back with the crusher.
And it all starts with the beautiful pass. The libero, Danny Busboom, giving Rachel Holloway every opportunity to set a flawless match.
Holloway with now 43 assists. Keogh's got 46. Chance here for the Huskers. They go to Jordan Larson. And pass shanked into the crowd.
Again, ball control. The key to good ball control, you can tell when they've got it, and it's because the setter's not moving. The ball goes right up to the setter, allowing Jordan Larson to hit right through the seam in the Stanford block.
Larson with the double-double.
She'll go down the line, deep corner.
Keogh bumps it to Barboza. Boy, she just cannot find her rhythm. Another big block from Nebraska. Timeout, Stanford.
Sarah Pavin doing everything she can for this squad. And you saw while you were talking about Enterprise, behind that were two familiar faces to volleyball fans, Terry Pettit and Mick Haley, talking a little X's and O's during the timeout. What would I do if I had the luxury of being in this position?
Mick Haley winning back-to-back titles with USC earlier this decade. I believe that's who Pettit beat for the national championship too, didn't he, in '95?
Indeed, when he was at Texas.
Stanford now, again, they've been so good in tight matches all year long. Larson ties it back up. She is just having a monster match. Win game 3, you are 1 game away from the title. Larson with the stuff. Game point, Huskers. Keogh to Gerard. Here's a chance for Nebraska. Pavin